Thank you for doing this, Mayor Bloomberg. I want to first start with foreign policy. The Iranians have said that they have unintentionally shot down the plane. Do you take them at their word when they say that?
I have absolutely no idea. It's a tragedy in any case, 175 people dead. I can't imagine why they would shoot down a civilian airliner deliberately, but you never know what people are thinking. And whether it was a mistake or deliberate, people are dead no matter what. We just have to be careful. Weapons in this day and age are so powerful that we can do some very bad unintended things, and bad guys can use them for intended things.
And sticking with Iran, President Trump said that he had received intel that General Soleimani was planning attacks against United States embassies. Given that information, would you have given the order yourself to have killed him?
Well, I don't know, number one, whether Donald Trump actually received the information that you said he did, or whether that was spin created afterwards. I just don't know. There's no question the guy that we hit, took out, or however you want to phrase it, was a very bad guy and killed a lot of Americans. Two previous presidents had the opportunity to do that to him and decided not to, and you'll have to ask them what the reasons were. In the case of right now, I don't know. I don't have the intelligence to know whether it was a good decision or a bad decision. What I do know is that Donald Trump has gotten rid of, either driven out or fired, all the people in the State Department and NEA and some other agencies where they could give him advice, and making life and death decisions that have potentially enormous implications around the world without having a great staff and having the input from people with experience and who've studied all these things is just not a smart thing to do.
Recent polls this week have been coming out showing that Senator Bernie Sanders is surging in a lot of the early states. Do you think that his surge, being one of the more progressive candidates in the race, probably the most progressive candidate, does that help you or help your campaign, do you think?
You know, I don't know. I can't sit around and play these games of guessing. I don't look at the polls. I've got a job ahead of me. I've got to go out to as many places as I can get to before the primaries start taking place and before each state's primary comes up, and explaining what I would do and why I think that I can replace Donald Trump and why I think I can unite this country. Those are the two objectives I have, and I've said this a million times. Donald Trump should not be in the White House, and I think I can beat him. And number two, we have to unite the country, and I think I can pull together this country, create the teams that would do it. I did it in the most populous, largest city in America, and I can do it here.
Would you ever support Bernie Sanders if he were to win the nomination? You said that you're going to keep your offices open throughout the country even if you don't win. So if he's a nominee, would you pledge to support him?
I was asked before, and I said, and I'll certainly stick to it, I think that the number one thing is to replace Donald Trump. And while I certainly would disagree with Bernie on an awful lot of things, if it's Donald Trump versus Bernie, I would support Bernie.
And last question I have for you. You've weighed on British politics before. The big news this week was Meghan Markle and Harry saying that they are going to take a break from their royal duties. What did you make of that news? Would you call yourself a royal traditionalist? What would you say?
Well, you know, the press can be intrusive if you have the press following every move, and every day you pick up the tabloids and they have another criticism or another expose. I know that can be annoying, and even worse than annoying, it can really be annoying. On the other hand, Harry is a part of the royal family, and he's taken advantage of being part of the royal family. That's how he got raised. That's how he went to school. And it seems to me has some kind of obligation. Is it a lifelong obligation? Probably not. I mean, you have a right to change your job, but I think he does owe the British public an awful lot for their support of him, and he's in the end got to do what's right for himself and his wife and their family.
Thank you.